Section 27 of Reviews by Oscar Wilde. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Corey Samuel. Reviews by Oscar Wilde. Edited by Robert Ross. Section 27. 2 New Novels. Pall Mall Gazette, September 16, 1880. Most modern novels are more remarkable for their crime than for their culture, and Mr. G. Manville Fenn's last venture is no exception to the general rule. The Master of the Ceremonies is turbid, terrifying, and thrilling. It contains, besides many moving accidents by flood and field, an elopement, an abduction, a bigamous marriage, an attempted assassination, a duel, a suicide, and a murder. The murder, we must acknowledge, is a masterpiece. It would do credit to Gaboriau, and should make Miss Braddon jealous. The Newgate Calendar itself contains nothing more fascinating, and what higher praise than this can be given to a sensational novel? Not that Lady Tane, the hapless victim, is killed in any very new or subtle manner. She is merely strangled in bed, like Desdemona. But the circumstances of the murder are so peculiar that Claire Denville, in common with the reader, suspects her own father of being guilty, while the father is convinced that the real criminal is his eldest son. Stuart Denville himself, the Master of the Ceremonies, is most powerfully drawn. He is a penniless, padded dandy, who, by a careful study of the grand style in deportment, has succeeded in making himself the Brummel of the promenade and the autocrat of the assembly rooms. A light comedian by profession, he is suddenly compelled to play the principal part in a tragedy. His shallow, trivial nature is forced into the loftiest heroism, the noblest self-sacrifice. He becomes a hero against his will. The butterfly goes to martyrdom, the fop has to become fine. Round this character centres, or rather should centre, the psychological interest of the book, but unfortunately Mr. Fenn has insisted on crowding his story with unnecessary incident. He might have made of his novel a soul's tragedy, but he has produced merely a melodrama in 3 volumes. The Master of the Ceremonies is a melancholy example of the fatal influence of Drury Lane on literature. Still, it should be read, for though Mr. Fenn has offered up his genius as a holocaust to Mr. Harris, he is never dull, and his style is on the whole very good. We wish, however, that he would not try to give articulate form to inarticulate exclamations. Such a passage as this is quite dreadful, and fails, besides, in producing the effect it aims at. He, hi, hi, heck, heck, ha, 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 ho, ho, bless my ha, hey, hew, hew, oh dear me, oh why don't you, heck, heck, shut the ho, ho, hew, window before I ho, ho. This horrible jargon is supposed to convey the impression of a lady coughing. It is, of course, a mere meaningless monstrosity, on a par with spelling a sneeze. We hope that Mr. Fenn will not again try these theatrical tricks with language, for he possesses a rare art, the art of telling a story well. A Statesman's Love, the author tells us in a rather mystical preface, was written to show that the alchemist-like transfiguration supposed to be wrought in our whole nature by that passion has no existence in fact, but it cannot be said to prove this remarkable doctrine. It is an exaggerated psychological study of a modern woman, a sort of picture by limelight, full of coarse colours and violent contrasts, not by any means devoid of cleverness, but essentially false and over-emphasized. The heroine, Helen Rohan by name, tells her own story, and, as she takes 3 volumes to do it in, we weary of the one point of view. Life to be intelligible should be approached from many sides, and valuable though the permanent ego may be in philosophy, the permanent ego in fiction soon becomes a bore. There are, however, some interesting scenes in the novel, and a good portrait of the young Pretender, for though the heroine is absolutely a creation of the 19th century, the background of the story is historical, and deals with the rebellion of '45. As for the style, it is often original and picturesque. Here and there are strong individual touches and brilliant passages, but there is also a good deal of pretence and a good deal of carelessness. What can be said, for instance, about such expressions as these, taken at random from the second volume? Evanishing, solitary loneliness, in my then mood, the bees might advantage by to-day. I would not listen reverently, as did the other some who went, entangling myself in the net of this retiari. And why should Bassanio's beautiful speech in the trial scene be deliberately attributed to Shylock? On the whole, A Statesman's Love cannot be said to be an artistic success, but still it shows promise, and, some day, the author, who to judge by the style is probably a woman, may do good work. This, however, will require pruning, prudence, and patience. We shall see. 1. The Master of the Ceremonies, by G. Manville Fenn, Ward and Downey. 2. A Statesman's Love, by Emile Boche, Blackwood and Company. End of section 27. 2 new novels.